All right. Um, so this I kind of think counts as like a Halloween video, and it's something that I've been asked myself by a few people, and I'm just going to throw my thoughts into the arena about this, and that is the subject of can Godzilla be scary, or is Godzilla horror? I think it's a yes and no kind of answer, if I'm being honest. Yeah, it's very much a for me. I think it is very like yes and no, it's kind of a yes and no kind of thought process on a few grounds. One being yes in the form of you can do Godzilla, but it's just hard to do horror Godzilla. Not to say it's impossible, because both Toho and fans have made very good a very good argument that Godzilla can be horror. Um, that's kind of where I'm at. Honestly, that really is where I'm at with this. Is that yes, I lean into the camp of yes, but but the examples are it's a niche. And the thing is, you can make Godzilla scary. It's just a lot of us see Godzilla as more of an action, tokusatsu kind of thing. But I can tell you that there is enough evidence to prove that like you can make Godzilla scary. Let's start with Toho first before I go into the analog stuff. And if you're wondering, actually, let's cut this right now. I do not care for Man in the Suit. I'm not a big analog horror. There's really only like Lost Utopia films I follow in terms of Godzilla analog horror, because a lot of it is just kind of analog horror itself has been kind of like running in a rut, and there's only like a handful of stuff that's like considered analog horror that I really do enjoy, like Lost Utopia films with their Project Monster universe, really solid. And then we have over on the other end, like some other films here and there, but like other films like Man in Suit and a few other like Godzilla ones, they're just kind of like, feels too, like it's trying too hard for me. If you like them, that's fine. But anyway, getting back on topic, Toho, obviously there are a lot of great examples of Toho showing off that Godzilla can be horror, at least horror adjacent. The biggest being Shin Godzilla. Shin Godzilla is the ultimate example of Godzilla horror. They treat it like Shin Godzilla is basically Shin Goji is basically a Lovecraftian monster. He is like beyond comprehension, and he's always evolving. He is something beyond. He lives up to the god in Godzilla. He is an entity. He is like beyond. And the other thing is too. The other thing that makes him so fascinating is that we're nothing to him. Like in most cases, Godzilla doesn't treat really like humanity as a threat. Here, he's not even bothered unless you attack him outright. Most of the time, he's just you're in his path. That's the big thing, is that you're more in his way than anything else. Another example of what I consider great Godzilla horror is Godzilla 85, where not only do we talk about Godzilla as this immobile, like this unmovable object that is just wading his way through Japan, you also have the fear of the Cold War. He represents the fear of the Cold War. He represents Japan's fear of being a pawn in the grand political stage. That's another really good example of that. And of course, Godzilla 54, which in of itself is almost like a horror movie, because that movie, more than any other Godzilla film, I really do feel like treats Godzilla as like the ultimate entity, like the ultimate like embodiment of their fears. This is like less than a decade after a great nuclear they experience nukes, and Godzilla himself is treated as he's not fun, he's scary. You are meant to fear him. So those three really come to mind. And also I would throw in -1, because -1 also treats Godzilla as a horror creature, because this one is that is probably -1 is arguably for me, outside of the MonsterVerse Godzilla, the most aggressive Godzilla we've ever had. This Godzilla is openly after you. Like, this is a Godzilla who is like, if he sees you, it's on sight. just like with MonsterVerse Godzilla. But minus one Goji is more about like, hey, you little human, stomp. Like, yeah, if he sees you, he's gonna kill you, and like, there's no way of. He is again that embodiment of nuclear war. He is the terror that Japan faced. In this case, less than 10 years, like literally 2 years ago. So yeah, there, Godzilla and minus one. I'd actually, the more I think about it, I was like, yeah, that does count as horror, really. And I think the other thing of Godzilla in his core is horror. Like, Godzilla at his core is horror in general. He is the embodiment of the end. He is the embodiment of science untested. There was a great comparison. I've seen a few videos of Godzilla is the modern day Frankenstein monster. And I think that's a really good example. I think that's a really good I really do think that's a really good comparison. He's a monster created by, inadvertently though, not on purpose, like the monster in Frankenstein. He is a product of science gone horrendously wrong, of mankind's hubris and trying to control nature and science to the nth degree. He is our punishment. He represents all of our sins. And in a weird way, yeah, Godzilla is almost Lovecraftian as well, because your mind wouldn't, if you saw a 500-foot, giant giant radioactive dinosaur, essentially, your brain would just break. I'm sorry, your brain would just, if you saw that, your mind literally couldn't register that. You're just gonna be like, you're either gonna go into hysterics, like hysterical laughter, or just grab the nearest weapon and off yourself right there. You're not gonna run. Your mind is gonna break right there, because you're seeing, like, logically this thing should not exist. So yeah, honestly, I do think Godzilla counts as horror when it comes down to it. The more I think about it, it's like, yeah. But where do you guys stand? Do you think Godzilla counts as a horror character? Or do you think that's not the case? And if so, let me know where you guys stand on the matter. Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope y'all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.